not, yeah. It was mine as well. She did went to investigate it when it was burning me. Just spraying water on it.
It's not water.
Yeah, it is.
As a sanitizer, because not water.
It's water, they just spray it on. It's not the sanitizer. That killer on it's water. Yeah, to put it on there to keep to cool it down.
I said, well, why is that? She said, because, what she said? Something about disagreeing with you or something or the other. I don't know.
Sometimes it does.
Yeah, and when she said that, but oh my God, I don't know when you had your toes done, and your fingers, like the septic.
They were dirty.
Septic.
It's only now that I'm getting whatever they call it that them people gave me. It's really look nice now.
Listen, I ain't gonna get married. But my fingers look so bare now.
You see what you do your one day? Put something a little bit more pinky.
What's that the one? No. This is a pig. I'll look at it.
On Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. in the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominica life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of our people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, our public servants, youth, and the ordinary Dominica. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the Spotlight, we also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations.
Radio station is not too much we can we used to be DJs as well. So we're going to do a little bit of chronology before we get into that.
I used to do talk show. Yeah, we used to do talk show. Yeah, we did. We used to have different discussions. Yeah, yeah, it used to be good. Sunday mornings. Yeah.
And welcome to the In the Spotlight radio show for tonight. It is Monday the 21st, is it already? No, 19th.
Yeah.
Why did I think 21st? It's Monday the 19th day of April in the year 2021. Wherever you are this evening, thank you for joining us for the program tonight. We are happy to have you, those of you who are tuned in via the airwaves of Q95 FM. Remember, I always say this is a radio program first and foremost, and we feed via the social media platforms where possible. Last week, Monday, we had the beautiful Michael Henderson who sang her heart out for us, and we really did appreciate that. And tonight, we're in for another fantastic program. I'm quite looking forward to the program as well. And a lot of the information I'll get to know right along with you. I want to say thank you and good evening to the folks of Q95 for allowing me the time to be here for this program on a Monday night. Greatly, greatly appreciated. We thank Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited for providing us with our water for the program, as well as the Barefoot Fruit Scatter wine that my guests are going to be enjoying after the show, not during the show. Thank you so much, Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited. They are the agents for Barefoot wine, available at retailers across Dominica and of course wholesale at Josephine Gabriel and Company. We thank Deepex for their support. Jordan Jerome, GK, what's this? Thank you for your support. Akim Lowe, my graphic designer. Thank you, Akim. And thank you, the listeners and viewers, for tuning in and joining us on the program. We appreciate you. We have our social media platforms in the Spotlight Radio Show. We have our group in the Spotlight Radio Show. And of course, my own personal platforms that you can choose to follow as well. I always remind you of supporting the program if you're able to. And you can do that by just making contact with 767-275-7565. That's 275-7565. And we can have a chat. You're not obligated. It's just if you feel that you wish to support the program in any way. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We are almost ready to introduce our guest tonight. I'm quite thrilled to have these ladies in the studios. I can tell they're fashionistas too. The nails on point, the hair on point, the frames on point, everything on point. And we're happy to have them. Tonight we're here to speak about the Windrush Scandal. And many of you who know, some time ago I had Angela James on the program, and Angela was actually part of the Windrush generation. And just to give you a sense of what the Windrush generation is, you speak about people arriving in the UK between 1948 and 1971 from Caribbean countries. They've been labeled as the Windrush generation. It refers to the ship, the MV Empire Windrush, which docked in Tilbury on the 22nd of June 1948, bringing workers from Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, and other islands to help fill post-war UK labor shortages. Now, the other islands, of course, here would also include Dominica on that Windrush trip as well. So I am aware of the Windrush generation, but wasn't so very much aware of the Windrush Scandal. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, we have these two lovely ladies in studios with us tonight, and we're going to welcome them by saying good evening.
Good evening, Tim. Thank you very much for inviting us here.
It is my absolute pleasure to have the both of you joining us in studios here this evening, and we're going to have quite a candid, informative, and I think a program that is going to leave some people a bit wide-eyed. So we will see how that's going to go. Tonight, I suspect one of the headphones might be a little too loud. There we go. Perfection. Glenda, let us begin with you. Your opportunity here to say good evening to the listeners and just to do a brief introduction of who you are.
Hi, good evening, Dominica. Good evening, listeners, and Ferdina. Thank you for inviting us here to discuss this issue. Well, I'm Glenda Caesar, and I'm not part of the Windrush generation. I'm a Windrush baby. That's what I call myself. A Windrush baby, because myself and my siblings left Dominica to go up to England when we were our parents left Dominica to go up to England to start a new life. Let's put it that way. But I was one of the first of my family to go up to England, and then the rest of my sisters and brother, followed. So that's how my story. There's more to be told.
A lot more to be told.
That's just the beginning.
What about Joy? Look at how you're looking at your sister.
I know, but then we're tight. We're very, very close.
I can tell.
Very, very close. But yeah. Anyway, hi. Thank you very much for inviting me. My name is Joyce Caesar. I'm also here to talk about the Windrush Scandal. Ferdina. My apologies. Ferdina, thank you very much for bringing myself and my sister here to try to open up the minds of other people, to let them know exactly what the Windrush Scandal is all about.
Yes, I am quite eager to learn what the Windrush Scandal is all about myself. I did a little bit of picking on the internet, Googling a bit, to get some information, but I am more interested in hearing it from your mouth. I really am interested in hearing it from that point of view. And I know I love a British accent. I do too. I wish I had a British accent. Trust me. Yes, I love the British accent.
We've got to talk really slowly, because what we found is that a lot of people say, what did you say? So, sometimes we can throw in the Dominican accent, but then sometimes, in a position like this, I'm British.
In positions like this,
Ferdina,
yes,
you will actually get part of what we call the Cockney.
Yeah, because I'm straight.
Which is the British
slang.
Lingo, slang.
Okay.
So when she gets into it, she will come out to show, look, I am British, by the way she talks.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that the same for you?
I've been told that I speak rather posh. But so I've been told.
Please.
But
so she's Cockney and you're posh.
She's what we call Hackney.
Yeah, I'm Hackney. I'm straight Hackney.
Hackney is like in Dominica you'll have
different areas.
You'll say Glenda might be Bath Estate.
Yeah,
understand?
You're right.
Yeah, if you just say Bath Estate.
Okay.
I'm also from Bath Estate, but I speak a little bit.
Are you from the countryside of London?
Which I had no choice, because when I came to England, my mother said to me, and that was the age of 7, my mother said to me, as in Rome, do as the Romans do. So I had to literally come from Dominica as a 7-year-old, speaking my twang, and my mother said, stop that now.
Oh no, she was really Dominica when she came.
I was.
Proper.
Mommy, what you bring me here for?
And I was like, who's this strange girl?
So I had to learn the English language very quickly, and even to walk the walk, because I used to, back in the days, growing up as a little child, back in 19, whatever it was, shoes was something,
a
novelty.
Yeah.
So I was used to having my bare foot.
Right.
So when I came to England, I had shoes on my foot. I just kicked it off.
You kicked it off
because I'm not used to having shoes on my feet. I'm not used to having to see different colored people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not used to having people talk this English language to me, or drinking milk from a little bottle and things like that. So I had to adapt very, very quickly. Walk with books on my head to keep my back straight.
I thought I only saw that in the movies.
No. Oh no, my parents were very strict. I think my mummy would have us at the table and you couldn't put your elbows on the table. You had to be off. Don't do that at the dinner table. No way. Don't do that. And we had to learn to speak proper English. There was no they were hard, but good hearts, if you know what I mean. So learn to read and write. say no, thank you, please. There was no excuse me, open the door thing. We had to learn a lot of that as children. But I'm grateful for it because it's put us in the position where, like my sister said, you can be a chameleon. You can either be your down-to-earth self or you can be your posh self. And I found that, you know, throughout my work history, being in the boardroom, the poshness has got to come out. But then when I'm at home, I'm straight Hackney.
Yeah, Hackney.
I'll get you to say it right. It's called Hackney.
Hackney.
Yeah, the H doesn't come into it. It's Hackney.
So like acne then on your face.
Yeah.
You spoke about your mom and your parents. I want to start off the conversation understanding who they were. Tell us about your parents.
My mom. My mom was.
Oh, look at them.
I love my mom. I love
Right,
my mom.
just the way you actually said that, it's actually made me pretty emotional.
Yeah, me too. I love
My mother. Sorry, we always say my mum. We don't say our mum.
We always say
my
my
mum. So our mother is a queen of all queens.
She's a strong woman.
Very, very strong. You might as well say my mother raised 7 of us by herself because our father was not too well. He worked hard to bring us over, and in due time, he got sick. So my mother our mother had to do things as a mother would and as a father would. She worked day and night and day to feed us, to clothe us. She was a seamstress. Our father was a tailor and also a baker.
Yeah. He started off baking when he came to England. Daddy was a baker, but he was a tailor by trade. And he was a tailor when he left Dominica. Yeah, so I think the two of them together, we were used to, Mummy and Daddy, when we first came to England, because my sister, they weren't there, I was the one there. Mummy and Daddy rented a room, and it was one room, and they literally split this room in two. So they made a little front room at the back, and at the front, and at the back there was 2 double beds. So that's when they started bringing over my other siblings. I think my elder sister came, then my older brother, and then you was the last one to come. But I was the first one there because I went up as a baby. So I had to see these strange people coming in, and I'm thinking, who are they? You know, where did they come from? I don't know about this. But then we had, my mum had my sister just below me, Annie. Yeah, she had Annie just below me. So Annie was like my very first dolly. Yeah, so and from us living in this one room, my mum and dad worked hard, and they bought their first house, which was like a 6 bedroom house. Yeah, it was a big house, really big. So when we moved, this is coming from one room and moving to, and that's when we moved to Hackney.
Yes. So almost there was a room for everyone?
Yeah, there was, but they never did that though, because they put us in, we had my brother was the only one who really had his room, and my big sister, I think, and then the rest of us, we shared a room, but we didn't mind because that's how
we were raised. Family.
Mummy used to say, you don't need friends, I make enough of all you to have friends. So that's how we grew up. So we were very, very close, a very close-knit family. But Mummy and Daddy, they did work hard until my dad fell sick, and the reason he felt sick was through diabetes, because they didn't have the full understanding of diabetes until 1983, when I think the Mental Health Act came out then. Because they thought anybody who had diabetes, they always had fits, and it's like their head would turn and they would end up somewhere else. So they had classed it as mental health. After 1983, they got the full understanding it isn't. It's about the sugar level going low, and this is, and whatever. That was another thing what affected the black community a lot as well, because a lot of them got paid out because they had sectioned a lot of the Caribbean people. So there's a lot that's been happening. Yeah, I learned a lot. That's what made me go into mental health administration. So I was in mental health with the National Health Service, the NHS, for a very long time, and I wanted to know a little bit more about it, because anything that affects our community, I want to know. I go into it. I want to know why. Yeah, I dig into it. Why? How come? And it changed things for a lot of people. And working within mental health, it showed me that our community was affected really badly, and they did section a lot of our community.
And so, what were your parents' names, if you don't mind sharing with us?
Clotilda.
My mother's name was Clotilda Ploster.
Clotilda Ploster.
From Lapland. And my father was Randolph Caesar from Newtown.
Okay. All right. So that's the two people that you seem to be so proud of.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you got to an age where you understood why your parents, made that trip across to England? Is that something that you felt was a good move on the part of your parents?
You would think that, because we grew up, Mummy always used to say to us that don't allow anyone to call you, what we would say, a racist name. Mummy brought us up. I'm not going to go into what she really said, but she didn't want anyone to be racist towards us. And she said if anybody did, how we would meant to react, like a Dominican woman would, which wasn't. I don't want to repeat it on here. Why would you tell us that, Mommy? But as we grew up, we got to know. We were faced with. I remember. My sisters and that wasn't there, but I remember when we were living in this one room, we lived next door to Teddy Boy and Teddy Girls at the time, and they were very racist, but they picked on the wrong two couple, because my mum and dad weren't having it. So that's the first time I experienced racism. But my mum and dad didn't bring us up to be racist, because our family's so diverse. There was a lady, a white lady, Caucasian lady, Sadie, that used to look after me, and I loved her because she had the skin like Snow White and her hair was the same way, but she was such a lovely person. So we wasn't brought up to be racist at all. We didn't even, it wasn't something, Mum would say, handle it that way if someone said something to you, but she wouldn't say to us to hate, And being British, I was alright, because that's the only thing I knew, not like my sisters and my brothers, they came from Dominica, Can I say?
So you somebody wants to know if you all are twins. No, they're not.
We say yes. We do say yes.
No, there's actually 2 years difference between us.
Okay.
And a lot of people think that we are. And when they do say yes.
Yes, you just say yes.
Yeah, we do say yes.
And leave it at that.
That's it.
So you were brought up to England at 3 months old when your parents were making that initial move to the UK. You, Joyce, went up at a later stage, and you started talking a bit about that. What did you understand was happening when you, first of all, do you even remember that your parents were leaving and took one of your siblings with them?
No, I do not remember that. What I do remember is actually, because at a young age, many people tend to remember things, but I don't know if I chose to forget.
Okay.
But I was left with my grandparents in Lapland at a young age. And I used to wonder, well, where's my mum? Where's my dad? But the answers was not coming to me. So I just adapted to be with my grandparents until my grandmother passed away. After she passed away, I was brought to Roseau to live with my father's mother, which is my other grandmother. And I'll be just down Court Street.
Court Street. That's
on Court Street, as a little child. And I'll be looking down by the sea, and they'll say to me, by the bayfront, and they'll say, your daddy soon come. Your daddy soon come and get you. And he's going to come as well in a big bird. So every time I used to look up at the sky, looking for this big bird to come and get me, not realizing that I was going to go to another country. And as far as I know, as a little child, your imaginary senses goes different.
It's a big bird, isn't it?
It's a big bird. But anyway, I was actually sent for, and I arrived in England.
Do you recall how you went out?
I did arrive. Yeah, I did.
Did you go with someone? Do you remember?
I went to England by myself at the age of 7.
In
1967.
But at that time, back then, they would the airports were being formed, so it was down to the air hostesses and that to look after you. So they would bring you to the brand. I didn't go to the airport with you.
Okay.
With the others, I did. With you.
No, you didn't go to the airport. You didn't come to the airport to meet me.
No, that's what I mean.
No, you said to get me.
All right, then, sorry.
We do banter a lot, okay? We do bounce off each other. So, as I said, so I arrived in England, and I saw this lady in a uniform with a different colour skin than myself coming towards me, and I looked at her and I asked, I said, "Who are you?" I said, "Who are you?" In the twang, yeah? And she said, "I'm coming to take you to your mum." And then she held my hand, and I pulled my hand away because she was different to me.
Stranger.
Yes, and she was different to me. And I've never seen
Caucasian
person before. So anyway, she came and she brought me to my mother. I do not recall what my mother looks like. I did not recall what my mother looked like. All I knew is this lady came to me and she said, "I'm your mother," and I sort of, "You're not my mummy."
You G back like
yes,
you say
you're not
that.
my mother. And I imagine
Yeah.
a 3-foot child, because I was very, very small, a 3-foot child had with an attitude.
Yeah. Proper Dominican attitude.
And I said, "You're not my mummy." She said to me, "Yes, I am your mother. Come and give me a hug." So I remember all that. And first thing she said, "You want a Coke?" I didn't know what a Coca-Cola was. And they went in this big machine and drew out this thing, and I sort of gulped it down. It was nice, you know. And then I went in a car, and I ended up on a very long road where they had lights up in the sky, which was lighting lampposts. Excuse me. So, and then I was also told that when you get to England, the streets were paved with gold. So I've actually got my eyes looking at these lights, which I've never seen before.
And you're looking for gold.
And I'm also looking down on the floor for the street, because I'm looking for this gold to bring home now. I'm looking for this gold. I eventually came to the house where my mother was living with my siblings, and excuse me, they were all there. They looked at me strangely.
Because she was strange. Oh, she was strange.
Yeah. They looked at me very, very strangely, and I also looked at them because I didn't know who the hell they were. As far as I knew, it was me only. Sorry. So anyway, I walked into this house, and all my sisters, not all, but part of my sisters were there, and my older brother. I was introduced to them, and I walked in and I said, "This is not my country, I don't want to be here."
Oh my goodness, you wanted to go back.
Yep. I said, "Take me back to my country." Mommy said, "This is your home." I said, "It's not my home. It's not my home."
At 7 years old?
Yes, at 7 years old. I said, "This is not my home, I'll take me back to my country." So from that day, I made it hell. I made my sisters and my brother go through hell.
In what way?
She was just horrible.
I was very rude. Very, very rude. I wanted to fight them. Everything they had, because they had colouring pencils.
You coloured in
and they had books.
That. Yeah.
Now, growing up in Dominica as a little child, we were using slates.
Yes.
So when I saw these books, I was scribbling all over them, not realising it was the school books.
Yes.
Then they had dollies.
And you had a dolly.
They had dollies.
Yeah.
I didn't have a dolly, and I realised they were called pop-ups. Okay. They were pop-ups.
Joyce, you're gonna kill me tonight.
So when I said, only a pop-ups. So imagine hearing that, I'm like, what's a pop-up? I was very nasty, and I pulled all the hair out. I drew on the pop-on face. You got the eyes.
You did. I remember.
Can I want to be here? All you have that I don't have nothing.
You were being very rebellious.
Very rebellious. Thank you very much.
At what point did you get off this rebellious phase?
I think I got off this rebellious phase when I think I was about 9, 10 years of age.
Took some time.
9, 10 years of age. And then I realized, Christ, you know what? I do have sisters and brothers. They are my relatives. And we got closer and closer and closer.
Yeah, I think after you came, it was maybe a year afterwards we moved to the house. It wasn't that long, yeah. We moved to the house. Yeah,
Yes.
6 years.
So in total, I just did not want to be in England. I'm Dominican. I was born in Dominica. Dominica is my home, and it's where I want to be. But then I realized in time to come, you're not Dominican. You are British. You've come with this passport, and it says British on it. So, as I said, my mother says, as in Rome, do as the Romans do. So that is when I decided, well, I'm British.
Yeah.
Let me just do what the British
You had to
people do.
concede. You had to concede.
I had to.
You had to go to school. You had no choice. You had to meet other people.
Yeah.
And strange enough, because this is all part of the Windrush. As a 9-year-old child, remember I said I came over to England speaking the lingo, you know, when we sort of sing the way through. And I ended up in primary school, we call primary school. It was less than a year I was there, and I got a prize. I was called up in front of all the school for being the best spoken child in the school.
How did you adjust so quickly?
I have no idea.
I think it's all the lessons Mommy and Daddy used to have, because every time after school, you came from school, there was a blackboard in the back room that was downstairs, which was very good, and we would have to sit there and do our lessons. One of the longest words Mommy and Daddy ever taught us was Mississippi, and we had to learn to spell that. That was MISSISSIPPI, and we had to do that, and then you had to make, we done our own like little games where we would make words out of Mississippi and see how many words we could make. But we, you know, the way we were brought up was, I think it was alright. I'm happy because it taught us a lot, and it taught us to be ladies. Let's say that.
It's so you came up at 7, but you 3 months.
Yeah.
At what point did you begin, or how far do you remember in terms of, I know you want to remember 3 months.
Everything. No, I can remember everything. I can remember as a 3-year-old. I can remember going to primary school in when we first moved. When we moved to, I can remember the first room my mum and dad ever had, because they used to grow blackberries in the garden, and Mummy would make jam. I remember when my sister was born, the one after me, because like I said, she was my first dolly. I thought, I've got a live dolly.
And that's 3 years.
And I remember, like I said, I saw all of my other siblings come to England, and us moving to the big house, which was exciting. It was really, really exciting, because we were all like gonna move to this house. We're all gonna have our own room. We won't have to sleep on the bed all together, you know. Again, but yeah, I remember. I can go as far back as when I was 3 years old.
Okay.
I was my schools and everything else. Yeah, but when we moved to the house, that's when our life actually started up, because we lived in the middle. Our house was directly in the middle of the road, and we were a big family, so everybody sort of like directed towards us, because we was very, very friendly, and we lived on a road with every nation. And when I say every nation, there was Scottish, there was Irish, there was English, there was Asians, there was Pakistanis, there was Mauritians, there was St. Vincent, there was St. Lucians, and we all lived on this road. But
and
we all got together, Carolyn, you brought her up as well. Yeah, so we all sort of like mixed together. But you're gonna come across racism, you know, and as young children we did have to deal with it, because I don't mind saying it. There was a girl who actually turned around and she called me black something. And I remember my mummy always said, don't allow them to do that. But then what she did is she raised her hand on me. And my mum taught us we got to fight. So
your mom told you you have to fight.
You have to fight. Mummy used to, I didn't raise only for the hand tie, so we got to.
I could see Joyce fighting.
Oh,
Not you.
I will. I'll tell you what, Ferdina. I will actually say when this girl approached my sister, and I will say now. Back then, the racist word they used to call us was wog.
Yeah.
Wog.
Wog.
It was wog.
Okay. Wog or nignog.
Oh.
Right.
Which
was very, very racist.
But she called me a black bee. And
she called her a black bee.
But she hit me, and then I ended up fighting with her. Then her brother got involved, and then my sister got involved, and then they kicked us out of the school, the whole family. We all got kicked out.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Afraid so.
Because our mother taught us
Don't
to
let
fight. Not to fight.
Don't let no one
All
put their hand
for
on
one and one for all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and that's exactly how she brought us up. If someone said something to this one, you don't need no friends. Go and sort it.
If you can't deal with it yourself.
So how many of you all were actually attending that particular school?
I think it was you, me, and my little sister. She was in nursery. They actually pulled her out of nursery.
They took the one out of nursery as well.
Yeah, she said I was just in the middle of playing in the sand pit, and then they said you got to get out.
And that was it.
Yeah.
Oh, how easy or difficult was it to get into another school?
My mum thought. Obviously, back then you had the welfare service, and you have to go to school. You have to. There's no ifs or buts in England. It was a little bit difficult to find a school nearer to us, but when we did find a school, the headmaster was the best man on earth. Mr. Cohen. He was a Jewish man. He was so funny. He didn't.
There was no racist.
Yes, there was there wasn't a racist bone in him, and he didn't look on to penalise us. He said to you, you're here, I know that you lot are clever children, and if you go for anything, just come to me. But he'd be talking to us when we first went, his ears used to flap, and we were laughing. I'm looking at my sisters thinking, can they see what he's doing with his ears? And I couldn't help it, I just burst out laughing. But he was the sweetest headmaster we ever had.
He humoured us.
Oh, he did. And we loved that school, didn't we, Shakwa? We did. But we used to do singing, because we can sing. Just want you to know, because we had guests before.
Well,
because
when people tell me they can sing, you know what I do?
Okay.
Joyce.
No, I'm not.
Wait. Joyce, you know what I mean, right?
I hear
if you can sing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, tell me
you're all too far.
No, we didn't sing in the school.
You're all too
Did we
far.
sing in the school? Can you remember the song we sang in the school?
I'll teach you.
Alright, you remember the song we sang in the school?
Diane will talk.
But I asked you questions.
Diane will talk to you.
Alright.
Glenda, when people come on this show and they can sing, they have to sing.
No, but I'm just saying we had to sing in school.
No, you said I can sing.
I said we.
That's what Joyce, taking part in this.
No, you must take right. You don't remember the song we sang in school?
No. What you should have said?
I said
people. Tell her, right? Phone in and make sure you let her know what she said. She said, I can sing. All she had to say is, I used to sing.
Oh my goodness. You all are funny. I am. I really love you all. So in a nutshell, ladies, how would you describe your teenage years, your time growing up in the UK? You coming in at 7, so we got you from 7 to about 9, 10. But just overall, besides this one situation where you were bullied or where the racism came into play, overall, how would you describe growing up in the UK?
Growing up in the UK, I loved it.
You loved it.
Eventually, I got to love it. So, I was then known as British. I had all walks of life of friends. I used to sing a lot, and I remember that. I used to sing a lot in the playground.
I used to. I used to.
Fernanda did not call you in this conversation.
Right,
She's
sorry.
talking.
You know, you just called me Fernanda, but that's also my
Also,
name.
Ferdina.
No, Ferdina, but Fernanda
Ferdina.
is also my name.
Oh, is it?
It is.
Okay, well, there you go. Everyone used to come and be Catherine, of course.
Ferdina
Yes,
has
dear.
actually asked me to talk, not you.
You're right.
Okay. Right. So yes, growing up as a teenager was brilliant.
Right.
Really, really brilliant. I became a mother at an early stage of
Okay.
teenager,
Okay.
but I was very, I won't say boisterous, I was
Adventure.
very adventurous.
Yes.
And I loved my life.
Mm-hmm.
I was not spoilt. I just did what I wanted, when I wanted, how I wanted.
I can tell. I can tell.
So that is me.
I was spoiled. I think my mom spoiled me
Mm-hmm.
because I could ask her for something and then she would. Mommy never ever said no to me. I don't know why.
Is that true, Joyce?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she never
Until
If Joyce says it, then I
Yes.
believe
Yeah,
you.
until my youngest sister came along.
Okay.
No, not even then. I could ask her for some things and she would give me. But I remember growing up where from a little girl, I was 3 years old and I wanted to either be a secretary or an air hostess.
Mhm.
So I would get bits of papers and to write a typewriter, and I wanted to type. And I remember a card came through the door where we could do touch typing. I said to Mummy, and I brought it to Mummy, I said, Mummy, can I go and do this please? Because I'd love to do it. Now at that time you don't know if you're financially what your parents are like, they can afford it or not. But I know I wanted to do it. And she was like, yes, if Joyce goes with you, then you can do it. And I was like, yes.
If Joyce goes,
Yeah.
did Joyce have a say?
Well, she didn't have no
Joyce
say.
didn't have the same, but
If I say I want
we
it.
we loved the typing. We used to
Yeah.
see the secretaries like in black and white
I said
movies,
to
you know, run it straight, and that's what we used to do. So we wanted to do that as well.
Yeah.
So Mummy said, if I came
Yeah.
along, then yes.
Yeah.
So we both attended the course doing touch typing.
Okay.
So the keys were literally covered, and you'd be looking at a board up there for you to see the actual keys. So that's how we
Oh.
learned to touch type.
Okay. That's
So-
what that is called.
Yeah.
Okay.
Touch typing. So so she never refused me that, and from that alone built my career for me.
Okay.
And I'm always grateful to my mom for that.
Mhm.
Always.
Mhm.
Because it's only now I realise back then financially she couldn't afford it,
Mhm.
but she went out of her way to say, well, if that's what you want to do,
She made some
yeah,
sacrifices for you all.
definitely, definitely.
You are right.
yeah.
You're right, because Mummy, where Mum actually sent us to do the touch typing course,
Mhm.
we both passed.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
with flying colours.
So you made her proud.
Very
It was
proud.
worth it.
Very much so.
Definitely.
And my first job was, imagine, as a 16-year-old, 16,
Mhm.
I was a secretary
Oh.
at the age of 16. But my first wages, as soon as I came home after doing my secretarial work, my mum would come and she would put her hand out like that.
She right too. She right.
And all I got back was my fares to go to school,
For how long?
to go to work.
For how long did that happen?
Oh, that was a good few years. But the big but is that we loved what Mummy did,
Yeah.
because what she took from us, she was putting in her savings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was benefiting us. We didn't know that
No.
until years gone down.
Yeah.
She bought this book up and she said,
There you go.
This
That's
is
your
yours.
start. Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah.
Incredible. And so Glenda, I also want to get your point of view, and I like the interaction between the two of you, by the way.
Thank you.
In terms of your experiences growing up in the UK.
Yeah, well, so I also started having children at a young age. Yeah, I did. But it didn't stop me from knowing where I wanted to get. And I think that's, like I said, I owe that to my mom and my dad. So I had 3 children at a very young age,
Okay.
but I still went to college. I
That's
still
important.
knew, yeah, because I knew where I wanted to get. business is something I've always been interested in. So even though I had children and I had a home to run, I was determined I had to get a BTEC National Diploma in Business, because I know that would give me the entrance. To get to a degree level. And watching Mommy and Daddy sewing, making clothes for people, always selling things. It basically, that's how I just love business. I said it's not going to stop me, and I was determined that I wanted my children to see that Mommy just wasn't wanting us to just stay at home. Mm-hmm. So my typing helped me to progress in my career, because I went, after having like my children, having my own place, I went to work, attended different courses, went to work, ended up working for the NHS in administration. And
National Health Service.
Yeah, National Health Service. They know NHS. Everyone knows the NHS, yeah. So I ended up working with them for a long time. And like I said, my mum always just said to us, get a government job. Mommy was like, get a government job. I go, why? So you can get a pension. I go, I'm too young to get a pension. You don't realise that, you don't realise what a pension is. But I'm grateful to her for even putting that in our heads, because we're in the position now where we tell our own children that, and it's helped us as well, hasn't it? I mean, it draws all back to this scandal where the story will begin soon.
Soon, very soon.
Soon.
What about you? What direction did you take in terms of the government job?
The government job. I started off working with the prison services.
Okay.
And that was back 19 something or the other. After I left the prison services, I then worked. I was actually headhunted by the police force, and they interviewed me, and I started to work for the police force in England.
As?
Not a police officer.
Okay.
But it was head detention officer.
Head detention officer. Explain that to us.
Okay, the head detention officer is when a police officer has arrested someone or brought them into custody, I am the one who will be booking them in, reading them their rights, advising them about solicitor, looking about their welfare, if they have any mental health problems, if they need a doctor, if they're underneath any drugs. I had to assess them.
Okay.
Literally assess them.
Can I just interrupt that? Because the good thing about it is that I'd get a call from her when I'm at my desk, because I used to work for the mental health, and she'd be like, is this person in the system? And I said, I just checked.
Teamwork!
Teamwork, yeah.
Could you do that?
Yes.
Were you allowed to do that? You don't know.
You don't know. I said I don't know. Just say I don't know.
I didn't answer.
Okay.
Okay. Alright, interesting.
So yes, that was me. So I actually started to work for the police force for 9 years until the scandal of the Windrush.
Until the scandal of the Windrush. Can we take a break?
We can.
And when we come back, we begin to speak about the scandal of the Windrush. This is the In the Spotlight radio show. It is 8:54, the time in our studios, and I'm really happy to have these beautiful sisters in studios with us tonight. I really love the interaction between them. I hope that you are enjoying this interaction as well, because they're keeping me on my feet. I'm always on my feet, but I'm just saying they're keeping me on my feet. Keep it locked. We're coming right back right after this short break.
In the spotlight on FM radio.
We're like this all the time.
Oh my
Normally
goodness.
we're just like this.
I love it. Joyce is more dominant though.
Yes, he is. I know. I'm just a quiet
And
one.
you can tell, I mean, they can still hear us on the Facebook, but it's okay.
Touching the
Joyce, I can tell you were the more dominant one from the time you came up to England at age 7.
Culture, the media,
Yes, you're bad.
No. No. I'm just straightforward.
Okay.
I'm straightforward. And I make sure that I'm there for my sister. So if something's happening to her, like it has been when she was younger, I'm there. You can't deal with her, you got to deal with me. But then there's stories behind. Whereas I'm always there.
We're there for each other. I think that's what mommy just raised.
I can tell.
We're there for each other.
She's my little sister.
Yes. No, you're the younger sister.
No.
You are the younger sister. Oh, you know why? Because in my mind I'm thinking she went first, so she's the older sister.
Yeah, that's what everybody thinks, yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Alright.
That's what they come to
I know that people
because I thought they couldn't hear. That's why I was looking into it.
And we are back. This is the In the Spotlight radio show. Don't forget, if you would like to make a contribution to the show, just send a message to 767-275-7565 and we'll take it from there as to what medium that you can use. Thank you again for tuning in. Those of you who are tuned in via radio, those of you on the Facebook Live, really happy to have you. I see comments about enjoying the program and all of that good stuff. That's our intention. And now we're going to understand from Glenda and Joyce, and that's their names if you're just joining us and you're not sure who they are in the studios. It's Glenda and Joyce Caesar. They are in fact sisters. And we're here this evening to talk about their experiences as it relates to the Windrush Scandal. I'm going to ask you, Joyce, what is the Windrush Scandal?
I think it is not Glenda.
Okay, Glenda, what is the Windrush Scandal?
The Windrush Scandal is something that came up. It was a legislation that was brought up to try and control the immigration in England. But what happened is that people who came over from the Windrush in 1948 up to 1973, it was actually earlier than that, but they did an additional that, but I'll come to that. We got involved within that particular legislation. We wasn't supposed to, but they did when they were trying to do a clean-up. So people like myself who came over as babies and didn't have passports, because at the time you didn't need a passport to come to England, you could have just come with a relative. We got caught up within what they call the hostile environment, which is also labelled as the Windrush Scandal. So that's basically what it is. We just got caught up in something that we shouldn't have been caught up in. And what it did is that they started threatening us with deportation. Even though we had been in England all of our lives and had worked, but because we didn't have any paperwork. So they brought in this thing, if you cannot prove that you have got citizenship or you are a British citizen here, you have to leave the country. They were offering repatriation as well, wasn't they? Where they were saying to people to take money and you can go back home to your country if you want to. Now this is before the Windrush Scandal came out, because I remember back in, my mum passed away in 1998 when she came. Sorry, I keep saying my mum, but it's our mum. I'm going to say my mum.
Yes.
But
I'll allow that. When you're speaking, you can say my mom. Joyce, you can say my mom.
So my mum passed away in 1998 while she was on holiday in Dominica. So at the time, like I said before, I mentioned before, I'm a spoiled one. My mum took everything from me, all paperwork, she took it. So I didn't have a birth certificate for me to even apply for anything. Because I'm just British, I'm just thinking I'm British. But after Mummy passed away, I wanted to come Mummy fell sick and I wanted to come over. So I tried to make an application for a British passport. Now back then, in order for you to make an application for a British passport, you just had to produce maybe like a benefit book or your national is like a medical card.
The benefit book.
Yeah.
The benefit book is actually a welfare book.
Yeah, welfare book. So it was a benefit book where they give you money. So you could either produce them in order for you to get a passport. So that's what I did. And I submitted it at the post office, and I got a letter back saying to me, well, you're not British. And I was like, what do you mean I'm not British? What are you talking about? Of course I am. And they said, no, we need your birth certificate. So I was like, okay. But my other family members had come down. But by the time they'd come down, Mummy had obviously passed away. So they got my birth certificate from me, so they brought it back up to England.
But your birth certificate would have said Dominican.
Yeah, right. Now, see, this is what I'm saying to you. So I don't know. You said to me, birth certificate, I'm getting my birth certificate and I'm bringing it over to you. So my sisters had brought my birth certificate over. So I said, all right, here you go. No, you're not British. So I don't know what you mean. Why am I not British? I've got, at the time, remember I've said, I'm a young mom, I've got children. I've worked here.
You worked at the National Health.
There you go.
Services.
Yeah, so I've got everything. So I don't understand what you mean by that. And they were like, no, you've got to go and regulate your status. You've got to do this. So I said, okay, well, I'm not in no rush for me to go on holiday because I'm still building a home. I still got to clothe my children. So we didn't even think about it. But then afterwards, we were like, you know what? Let's go and see let's see what papers we can draw up. So we tried to do a search. No, we tried to see what papers we could get. We went to a place that they call like the archives to see if we can get, Kew Gardens, the archive where they keep all the records. See if we can get some information on my dad. We could find nothing on my dad. A death certificate and a marriage certificate. That was
it.
There was
so
nothing
when him
else.
and your mom got married, when he died.
That's it. That's all you could find on my dad. And my dad's a house owner. My dad worked. You could find nothing else on him. I was fortunate enough that where I worked in the NHS, that I knew that he had been hospitalized. So I saw some of the records, but then when I went back, I couldn't find the records. So it was really strange because we ended up spending a whole day in Kew Gardens. Now, spending the day up there, they were like, they couldn't find nothing. But we're working, we're still working, things are, it's okay. All right, we're in no great rush because we're still able to work. I think it was in 2009. Like I said, I said that it's time for me to retire through ill health.
So not to interrupt you. So you're saying that you went through your years in England, not having much interest in traveling or even returning to Dominica at the time. No. So Dominica wasn't on your mind very much, including you, Joyce, because although you wanted to come back at age 7 and you were being very rebellious about it all, is it that along the way you were no longer concerned about coming back to Dominica?
Along the way, I actually started to have my children.
Okay.
And as Glenda said, coming back to Dominica was not something that I was thinking about. I was, like Glenda said, I was thinking about my children's health, the roof over their head, working, supporting them, because we were both single parents.
Especially for the sake of those who might be tuning into the program, or those who are tuned in at the moment, they might say, but why did they take so long to try to get, a passport or their documents in order?
Well, you're not thinking about it. That's a question that I've come across, throughout this whole episode, what I call in my life. People are saying, well, why didn't you apply for it? I wasn't even thinking about that. We weren't thinking about holidays. As a young mum, the only thing you think about is making sure that your children are okay. In England, trust me, it's difficult enough to even like raise boys because you've got to make sure they're on the straight and narrow.
So you have boys?
Yeah.
You have girls?
I've got girls.
You've got girls.
All girls?
Yeah.
And all boys?
No, I've got one daughter.
You got one daughter.
I've got 3 boys.
Oh,
yeah, so,
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was not a priority for you at the time?
No, not really. It wasn't. The priority was to home, making sure that I can keep the roof over their head.
And you didn't need a passport for anything else in there because you would have had your other IDs and so on, right?
Yeah. But it's not something that I didn't bother because my first 3 children, their dad was British, so they were able to get a passport for their dad. So it wasn't something that I was like, oh, the 3 kids have got the passport. But I came across that with my youngest one, but I'll get to that. On my youngest one, and he's born in Britain because he's different than that. But we didn't even, you're not even thinking about that, you just want to get on with life, so let's leave it. It wasn't until 2009 where I had sort of like semi-retired, I'm going to say, and I said, all right, I've done enough for the NHS, now let me just take a part-time job. So I got a part-time job as a GP practice administrator.
So you resigned from the NHS?
I was just, because I was getting, my jobs were high-profile jobs, so like that PA, executive secretary, management positions, and I just wanted something to tame me down a bit. So I retired. I think I took a year off, and then I said, nah, let me go back and work. And I found this part-time position, 4 hours. I applied as a receptionist first of all, because I thought it sounded simple.
You just wanted to do something.
Yeah, I just wanted something simple. And then the lady who interviewed me, she was just there as part-time, so she just came on to sort of like organise the practice. And she said, you're too qualified. We need overqualified. You're overqualified. We need a practice administrator to oversee the receptionism. I didn't want to do it, but I said to her, will I be getting paid more? She said, yeah. I said, okay. And at the same hour, she said, I said, okay, I'll do it. So I was there for about, I think, 9 months. I was there for some time, and we got a new manager. And as soon as he came, he had a problem. Because when she interviewed me, I didn't have a British passport. I had a CARICOM passport because I needed something. Like I said, after Mommy passed away, I wanted to come to Dominica. So I had to apply for a Dominican passport, which I got no hassle at all. My youngest son couldn't get a British passport, and he was born in Britain.
Is that because you didn't?
That's right. And because he had my surname as well. He had my surname.
Oh, my goodness.
They wouldn't give him a British passport. So I had to apply for a Dominican passport for him as well, because we needed some form of ID. This is when everything started coming. You need ID for this, ID for that. So I applied for that for me and him. But this manager was not happy with me having a Dominican passport. Even though...
What did that have to do with...
That he wanted this, right, so this is when that legislation came in that you have to prove that you're British, even though I had semi-retired and worked.
Right. That legislation came in to the entire English companies, the entire English companies. If you were working with them, the company, if you're working with them and you was not British, the company would be fined £20,000 per person. So they had to vet everyone to say, prove to us that you are British. If you're not, unfortunately,
we have to let you go.
Because they can't afford to keep paying out £20,000 for everyone.
But it didn't matter, even if you had a long history, you could prove anything. But to be honest, I still think this man was racist, because the things that he was saying to me was annoying. But he was so adamant. I'd be like, okay, well, you've seen my, my work history. Here's my kid's British passport. So I must be British in something. No, he was like, that's my national insurance.
So no passport, no.
He would not have it. He would not have it, and he was so adamant that I would go home crying in the evenings because I used to be so angry. And my brother, oh, Mum, you want to some guy? I saw it out, and I'm like, no, let's, things would get done. But the partners who was running the surgery, the doctors, they didn't want to get fined £10,000. So they were like, you have to, he gave me a letter and he sacked me on the grounds of gross misconduct because you didn't have permission. I got the letter. I'm a very clever person. I kept everything because I made sure that everything was documented. If I had a meeting with him and he discussed about my status, I documented it. So I kept everything and I'd send it to myself privately, my private email. So when he sent me the letter stating that he was sacking me on gross misconduct because I didn't have the right to work in the UK, I kept that letter. But that was in 2009. I think you took me on holiday to here. In 2013 we came, because I was just,
She was traumatized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I said, right, you need a break.
Yeah.
So I just booked a holiday for me and her, and we came down.
Yeah, and when we came, we had a good time, but obviously you're still going to have to go back home to this problem.
To this, yes.
Yeah, but when we got back, we were going into England and I got stopped and I was like, here we go.
No, it's not you going into England. You arrived at the airport.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, brought your passport through, etc. And they looked at it.
Yeah, he said, are you on holiday? I said, no, I live here. So he said, oh, but you haven't got nothing in your passport. So I said, yeah, but I live here. My kids, waiting for me. And he was like, well, hold on, can you take a seat there? Now she's gone through.
So now you pull to the side.
Yeah, I pulled to the side.
Not to interrupt this story, but you already had a passport.
What I actually had was the big black passport that the majority of the West Indian people had. And the black passport states United Kingdom and something of Irish, but it was a Commonwealth passport.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a Commonwealth passport.
It was a British Dominican passport. It had British on it.
It had British on it. So,
United
as far as
Kingdom.
I know,
You're British.
British United Kingdom and part of the Irish or Ireland something or the other. That's what it
So
says.
she was able to go through because she walked with that passport.
Yeah, what I did, because of what we were going through,
Yes.
I walked with my Dominican passport and my original passport.
Yeah.
So if anything, and they need to talk to me, there it is. It says British on it.
Yeah, because were we on the British
Exactly.
Britain at the time?
Exactly.
So you were British.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah.
But what they said is because Dominica
Became independent.
became independent in
We lost all
1978,
rights. Yeah.
we lost all
Right.
rights.
To say we were Brit, which was wrong anyway. That was wrong. But the man pulled us in. He pulled me, and he was like, "Can you sit there a minute?" So she's gone through, but she's sitting watching me because she's like, she's going back to Dominica. I'm going as well. Right? She's going. I'm going. With
Joyce.
Yeah. She was just watching me through this little gap, and she's like, and I'm like, "You can go." I went, "No."
What was going through your mind, Joyce?
If you take me, you send me back.
She said to
If
go
you're
into-
taking me, you send me right back.
I'm going with her.
Because like I said earlier on, I never wanted to be here in the first place. So if all you want to send me back, that's my free passage home.
Yeah, but yeah, and when he came and he sort of like took everything, and he said to me, I said to him, "Oh, I'm just gonna say something to you. If you find anything on my father, you're doing me a favor because that's why any information you find, you're doing me a favor." He went, "Okay, Mrs. Caesar." He went away. I think it was like a couple of hours, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking. She's trying to come through, and he came back and he said, "Mrs. Caesar, we've seen when you tried to do a search on your father and we could find nothing on him either. But we're putting a warning on your passport. If you leave this country again, you're never going to be able to come back in again. So you better go and get a visa or that sorted out." And I was like, okay. So I got stuck in England until it from 2009 to 2018, when this scandal broke, was hard for me. It was hard because it wasn't only me having to go through it, you know, personally. It was also my youngest son having to go through it because they didn't class him as British. So
even though he was born there,
born here, born in not here or born in the UK.
With a birth certificate that he was
definitely born with a birth certificate, but they didn't class him as if he was British. So they
wanted to get rid of you all.
Definitely, there's no doubt about that.
I want to ask a question. So I found out that quite a bit of documents, thousands of documents, were destroyed in 2010.
Yes.
When the former Prime Minister Theresa May was actually head of the Home Office.
Exactly.
That is when that was done.
That was travel. That was the travel documents. You know, like when you get on a plane, you got to fill in that.
Yeah, right.
They got rid of all of that.
But prior to that, there was a major fire at the airport.
No, it wasn't the airport. It was in storage. There was a major fire in a big storage space where they kept a lot of files. We were privy to it because working for the NHS, we had privy to that, and they lost a lot of documentation.
So in terms of the documentation and the paperwork that got burned or destroyed, do you think there was anything in there as it relates to your father, your mother, and even yourselves?
Definitely, there's no doubt about that. But you know, you see it now. You can't travel somewhere without them having some kind of documentation of somebody coming in. They've still got passenger lists. I searched passengers lists and I couldn't find myself on there. I could find everything else, certain things on my dad, which would find like telephone directory. I would go through.
And your father's name would be in the
telephone directory. I copied out everything. Listen, I built up a portfolio. It was so thick because I was determined to say, I'm here.
I'm British.
I'm here. You know, you gave me a national insurance number, so for you to give me a national insurance number, I must be on a system.
Yeah.
I gave birth to children. I must be on a system somewhere. But for them to just turn around and sort of like reject you, you think, how can you do that to somebody? This is someone's life. But it became worse when with my son, because I'm watching my son get depressed. He can watch his brothers and his friends go on holiday, but he can't go nowhere. But he had his character.
And even as a mother,
honestly, it was so. It was the worst for me because I had woken up one morning and I turned around and I said, every time I think about it, I just want to cry. People think it's like thing, but I'd woken up one morning and I said, you know what? If I take tablets, then perhaps it might all just go away. Let me just commit suicide. And
so you were being
suicidal. And
that's so bad.
It got to that stage. It really got to that stage.
It got to that stage because she was unable to work. Her youngest child was not classed as British. He couldn't work. He couldn't sign on. He couldn't do nothing.
No, he went into depression, as a matter of fact, and I had to watch.
So you going into depression,
and he's going into
depression.
Yeah.
It's a whole mess.
It was one big mess, and you know,
and unable to literally live because there's no money financially coming in.
So and I've got to rely on my daughter, who is disabled. She's deaf, so I've got to rely on her with her disability benefits, and so I like help mummy out and doing the odd events decorating, because that's what I had to turn my hand to. So like weddings, funerals, christenings, I would go.
Did you have the knack for that already?
Yeah,
or it's something you had to learn?
No, that's the knack that I had because I was.
She likes to put her fingers into everything.
Okay. Business work, I said. but it wasn't. It just wasn't a good thing because you just don't think it's ever going to end, and it didn't matter who you turned to. It was like you're coming up against a brick wall because you go to. I thought that I could go to my MP, and I went to my MP to sort of like say, look, this is all the evidence I've got. Her rep got excited because she's like, oh yeah, we're going to deal with this. But then I get a letter back from her saying, just apply for naturalisation. And I'm just thinking, I haven't got the money to apply for naturalisation. What
So
you
there
want
is
me to
money
do?
involved in applying for national
Yeah,
insurance.
you go. Yeah, that was over what?
How can you-
£2,000.
How can you
Ooh.
apply for naturalisation?
When you can't work.
You can't work. You're not getting no benefits.
Yeah.
So where's this money going to come from?
Yeah.
The same problem she had with that is what my MP told me as well.
Yeah.
Apply for a loan.
Mm-hmm.
Apply for a loan and apply for your naturalisation.
But will you get a loan if you're not working?
Right.
Of course not. Where are you going to get a loan from?
And if you do get a loan, how the hell are you going to pay back?
Yeah.
But the worst thing is that when you work, you're paying into national insurance contributions, and you should be able to get that money back because that's benefits. So when you start working, you apply for benefits. So when I went to apply for benefits, and they said to me, I can't have it because I haven't got a passport on that, but that means you lot are stealing my money because this is my money, what I've paid in. But they were like, no, because you ain't got a passport. So that I lost out
So
on.
everything depended on having this passport.
Definitely.
correct.
Definitely.
Everything.
You're stuck. You can't do anything. You can't do anything at all. So you're just, it was like, well, what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So you became unemployed for
Yeah.
an extended period of time.
2009 to 2018, where I was in the middle of doing, I was actually at a funeral. I was decorating a funeral. I'd done back to back. I'd had one day, and then the last one I was doing, I think you gave me a call. My sister called me.
What did you call to tell her, Joyce?
I was contacted by someone to say, aren't you a cousin of ours?
Mhm.
Sorry, a cousin of ours.
Yes.
She contacted me. She said, "Aren't you and Glenda going for this Windrush thing?" And it's something we kept behind because we were ashamed.
Oh.
We were very much ashamed.
Why would you have been ashamed?
Well, we didn't want people to know that we was near enough living handouts from each other. Yeah. I would say to Glenda something like, "Have you got any rice?"
Oh, are you
Yeah.
kidding?
Yeah, it was like that. Should phone me. How you say you got money pack? Was it
L'argent.
Yeah.
L'argent?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what she said.
And I'll say that in patois.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't want people to know.
Is it because you didn't want, for example, the children to
Yeah.
hear?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's correct. Or if not, like she may have flour, and she wanted sugar, so we'll be exchanging.
swap.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. We're
A
bouncing.
barter.
We're bouncing off each other.
Something, yeah.
Yeah,
It
literally
was-
bounce off each other. But we didn't want our children to know how much we were suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't want them to know. So yes, it was troublesome.
It was
Very
hard.
troublesome.
It was hard.
Before you go further on the call that you made to Glenda, share with us your side of this whole situation.
Okay. My side is, as I stated earlier on, I worked for the police force for 9 years, and it also came to pass that they asked for my passport. Now, when I applied for working in the force, I had to give my passport details, photocopy of it, etc. And I did that. It was fine. Before I had actually applied for that post, I was interviewed by a judge. I gave him all my details. Everything went through
Smoothly.
very smoothly. So I'm fine. But as I said, in 2000,
Was the passport an indefinite passport?
the passport was the same black passport I came to England with.
So in Dominica we get a passport for 10 years.
Yes.
So was there a timeline on the passport?
No,
No.
it had run out.
It
Yeah.
ran out.
It had indefinite leave to remain.
Yes, it had
Yeah.
run out. But
Okay.
it had the stamp on it.
Yeah, it
Okay.
said indefinite leave to
Yeah?
remain.
Okay. So that went through. So as I said, I got through with the job, etc., and I stayed there. I can't remember what year it was, but then one of my sergeants came to me and he said, "Oh, Joyce, we need your passport again to show that you have the right to work." So I gave him the passport, I gave the photocopy, etc. And he says, "I don't think so." So I said, "You don't think what?" "You don't think what?" He says, "I don't think you are." So I said, "Well, I was interviewed by the judge. This went through. Why is it no good now? Why is it now?" I then applied. I went and I spoke to the inspector And he says, hold on, Joyce. I'm going to now speak the English, the Cockney. He says, hold on. What do you mean you're not British? He says, you speak the English better than me.
Yeah, that's right. Get me.
He said, you're more British than me. And he is Welsh, but British, yeah?
Yeah.
So he says, nah. So I got affected by that. I'm thinking, oh gosh, now, what's going to happen now? It frightened me. Now, I'm thinking, well, I've lost my job now.
Right.
I've lost my job. I didn't say nothing to my children. I thought, well, I'm being discriminated now because all this I'm going to go through, and now all of a sudden it's like, I'm not British, I'm now out because they're not going to pay 20 grand. Yeah?
Yeah.
So I slowly came out. I came out and I resigned from there. They all said to me, where are you going? I said, I can't do it. I can't do it no more. I'm fed up with fighting.
Yeah.
I'm fed up with fighting.
Yeah.
So I just left.
Yeah.
And even when I left, the majority of the police officers, inspectors, sergeants, and police officers and detention officers, they were sorry to see me go because, as I said, I was in charge of a lot, and I brought in a lot of detention officers and trained them.
Things to having to keep proving yourself, because it was just a continuous thing. Well, have you got this? Have you got that? And then us going around trying to find paperwork to try and prove that we are British, and who we are. It's
we kept it away from our children.
That was hell.
Yeah, it was hell.
It is.
My youngest daughter. Oh, I can't remember how old she was, but I had to depend on her. My youngest daughter, I had to depend on her salary, and she was working as an apprentice.
Yeah, it was hard, man. It was hard.
So it was really, really hard. But I got a phone call. Yes, I got.
So we're back. We're now on the phone
back
call.
Yeah.
Now. Yes.
So I got a phone call saying, "Hold on, Joyce. Doesn't this thing relate to you and Glenda?" And I said, "Well, yes, kind of." I said, "But I am more legal than what Glenda is, because I have still got this black passport. I have got my identity. This is my identity. But
Glenda doesn't have
Glenda
one.
doesn't have any." So I said, "I think you need to speak more to Glenda." And that's exactly what happened. She contacted Glenda and she says, "Right, I would like to have you lot on the TV."
Yeah.
So that's why we've seen quite a bit more of Glenda than we've seen of you, Joyce.
That's correct.
Yes.
With our first interview, which was with ITV, we were together, and I had all the documents in that. But Joyce had managed to get a biometric card at that time. But I didn't want the biometric.
Nothing.
I didn't want the biometric because, as far as I was concerned, the way I looked on it, you were placing me as if I was an immigrant, and I wasn't an immigrant. So I didn't want the biometric. You give me everything fully. I was determined. I said, no, I'm not doing it. I don't care. It's not going to happen. But when I got interviewed now, that was the very first time that I ever got a call from the Home Office. I was like, what? I didn't even know what to wear, did I? Because I come in from the funeral, I was like, what do I put on? Oh God, I don't know what to put. What do I put on? I just grabbed anything out of the wardrobe when we did this interview. But I remember having the whole file for them to see my mum's wedding picture, me as a baby, you know, for them to have a look at it. But within the Home Office called, because before you do an interview in something in relation to immigration, you have to have permission. You have to, they got to get permission to talk about it. So they interviewed me, and it was just interview after interview. But 7 days after, it was the 18th of April actually, 2018 was when
2 years ago.
Yeah, definitely. I became a British citizen.
Naturalization.
Yeah. So 7 days after it first came to light, they gave me my British citizenship. But
there's a but.
But my main concern has always been my son. Remember this. So I got interviewed. I got treated like royalty when I got to the Home Office. Oh, it was beautiful. Oh, Miss Caesar, would like a cup of tea? I said, yeah. And then, oh, Mrs. Caesar, we've seen all your paperwork. Fantastic paperwork. You are a British citizen. I said, okay, that's great. And they said, is there any questions? I was like, yeah. What's the implication on children born to parents like myself? And straight away they looked at me. I'll never forget this. I will never forget it. The senior man, he looked at me. He went, oh no. And he called my son's name and said, he's got his British citizenship.
Oh.
I burst out crying. I burst out crying. They were like, panicking 2%. I said, no. That's what the journey was about. Because me, I could come home and try and, come to Dominica and try and build a life. But that's his home. So for you to be rejected from your own home and to see what he had to go through.
Hurtful.
Listen, it was hurtful.
Tough.
But there was actually a time...
In the mic.
I'm sorry. There was actually a time when we had to get a petition through. Do you remember the petition?
Yeah, the petition. Yeah.
There was a time when we needed how many thousand signatures?
We needed 20,000
We needed
to get
20
it to discuss in Parliament. Yeah.
We needed 20,000 signatures so it can actually be discussed for the Windrush Scandal to be discussed in Parliament. And my sister and I, what we tend to do is like on a Friday, we'll sit down to keep our mind occupied and body occupied, and we'll play music via live Facebook.
And that's what we did.
And so we always have discussions, okay? We'll find something to talk about, have a laugh or banter, play music or whatever. And we brought this subject up. Listen, we've got a petition going for the government regarding Windrush. We need this amount of signatures. Yeah? Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. When we checked it, because we're talking, but we've actually got the phones here.
And it was just clicking.
It was just going.
So
it was just going.
Over 100,000 signatures. I think we got in one. Yeah, we got that in
5 times more than what you wanted.
Yeah.
In the night.
Oh, it was
in
brilliant.
one night.
It was brilliant, and it did get discussed. They had to discuss it in the end and put in different clauses. But it was something that was continuous. Then they brought in the compensation.
Before we get to the compensation, so somebody gives Glenda a call, gives Joyce a call, and says that, aren't you all part of this Windrush thing? What had your friends seen? What was going on at the time?
Okay, a brother-in-law of mine, my ex-brother-in-law, he was also part of the Windrush. And we were talking, he was speaking to me about it. And he went on social media regarding it.
Yeah. He got contacted by a gentleman who was a lady, a journalist, who actually broke this story. And she had broke it a long time ago.
Right.
But no one was taking any notice of it. And I think she had contacted him, Michael Braithwaite, his name is, and she had contacted him. So that's when that family member had seen it and said, well, you're a friend of his on Facebook, do you know? And then Joe said, well, that's what me and Glenda's actually going through. So
we started the ball rolling.
And then from there, the interview started.
Yeah.
I mean, you were on Good Morning Britain.
I was,
with Piers Morgan. He's not there anymore, but you were on with him 2 years ago.
Yeah, I was. He was actually, he was really good because the young lady that I went on to that show with, she is a friend of mine, and our children grew up together.
That is a young lady named Sonia Williams.
That's
and
right.
She came from Barbados.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. And she was actually married as well. But can you believe that we never knew we were going through the same thing? And this is what we notice about the Caribbean community. We don't air our dirty laundry out in public. So we're very
But technically, this can't be dirty laundry. That is reality of what was happening to you.
It's reality, but we were all ashamed of what we were going through.
Because
we did not talk about it.
What we find is that there's no way they can say it's not happening. The Caribbean community, one thing they'll do, well, why you never gone look about it earlier? You know, she should have gone and do this. She was doing this, she was doing that.
A few people
Yeah,
having
you
that
know,
same
of
thought.
course, they would turn around and say that. So it was a shameful thing where you didn't want to sort of like say, let anybody know. And imagine, I've known this girl for so long, this woman for so long, and I never knew. It's just by chance she saw an interview and she called me and she went, Glenda, I'm going for the service. I said, listen, I've got to do BBC tonight. I did ITV this morning. You're going to do the BBC and you're going to tell them your story. So they took her driving license away from her. And then I brought her in with me and we were doing like quite a few interviews together and we got called in
back to
do,
back.
Back Good Morning. But on that one I met the Jamaican Prime Minister on that actual morning and he was like, oh, I'm really sorry what you're going through. But the greatest thing was when this did come out, the heads of the Commonwealth was there, and I was so shocked when I saw Theresa May, because she didn't want to apologise, but it was shocked to see her actually shaking hands with Scary, and that's the only bit I ever saw on the television with her shaking hands with the Prime Minister Scary. I was like, oh. Maybe that's because of me, I don't know.
Yes. But were you all among the first set of people to actually go public and start speaking about the scandal and how it affected you?
Definitely. There was like, we started it and there was Anthony Bryan, Michael Braithwaite, Waldo, Sarah O'Connor who died, Paula Wilson who's actually died as well. So there was about 5 or 6 of us whose story went bam like that. But I'll wait for you to bring in the compensation.
Yes, we'll get into that in just a while. You wanted to add something? I just want to add something, and that's another reason why we're actually here, because on the advert I did actually say on the advert that it could be happening to your family.
Yes.
So please participate and look back, and if you see that someone in your family's been going through it, they're holding back because they are ashamed or they don't know they're going through it, reach out, talk to them, read up, because someone in your family has actually gone through that or will be affected by it.
So as we had to just backtrack a little bit just to understand how, you know, it came to be that you were then in the media and speaking about it. And you said 7 days later, Glenda, 7 days later you got a call from the Home Office.
Yeah, would you like to come in, bring your paperwork? I said okay.
So you brought your big hefty file.
Big file, the big file. I brought it in. Me and Sonia actually went in together. And
there's actually a video of you.
Yeah, that's right. Because they came with us. They were like, oh, Auntie Lizzie, can we come with us? I said, yeah, of course, you know, you can. And we came out. They weren't allowed. The cameras weren't allowed to come in. But that's the time when they told me that my son was actually a British citizen.
Right.
And Sonia she said to them, well, that's been her fight. But
have you gotten a passport since?
Of course.
Right.
And my naturalization
and
certificate.
Your naturalization certificate.
Yes,
oh, congratulations, Glenda. We come into the compensation part in just a while.
But my British passport's only got Dominican stamp in it at the moment, I'm afraid.
That's alright, that's alright. You'll get the opportunity to travel some more, I'm sure. So you got your letter, which you showed in the video.
I did.
And that letter said what exactly?
It said you are a British citizen. No, it said you are a British citizen. I was like, okay. I knew I was, but
did you have to sign a whole bunch of documents and all of that?
You sign. I
know. Just to everything.
Yeah, just to get the paperwork. That's it.
Okay.
That's about it.
I guess the naturalization was free?
Yes.
Of course.
Yes.
No £2,000.
Never.
Yes.
We actually, sorry, Glenda. Glenda got her naturalisation paper through, and her British passport, and also the card.
Yeah. The biometric.
The biometric. And they also gave me the same thing, which is my British passport, my naturalisation, my card, my ID card to show I'm British. And no, we didn't pay for nothing.
Nothing. I wanted to talk about the Sonia lady though.
Yes.
Her circumstances were a bit different.
Yeah, because they took her driving license away from her. And that was just because Sonia actually came to, her parents were British citizens, but Sonia came over, I think, in 1973. This is why I was saying
I think she was 12 or 13.
Yeah, she was. And this is why I said to you, they extended it, because so much different things happened just because of that certain situation. So that's when they extended it. If you came in 1973, you was okay. So Sonia managed to get her British citizenship as well.
Okay.
She got her driving license reinstated because they'd taken it away from her. But she was married, and this is the thing, she was married to someone British, and she had children as well. So it was such a strange thing. But even from that situation, they then stretched it even a little bit further to 1988 because of just asking that one question: what's the implication it has on children born in 1988? And they must have thought, oh, well, we're going to be in trouble, because it would have meant any child born at 1988 who had parents like myself, they were drawn into that actual legislation as well. So that had to be extended. My son he was lucky, let's put it that way. Not lucky because he's British, he was British. But he didn't have to get naturalised, he just instantly got his British passport. Because I had made applications for him, about 5, and they kept turning it down. They would not give him a British passport. But now he's got one, and he's happy.
And he can travel.
Yeah, and he can travel. He did face deportation though, because he went to Dominica Republic for 2 weeks, and he was coming back in, and I remember they said to him, this is when he had the Dominican passport, and they stopped him at the airport, and they were threatening him with deportation. So he phoned me, he said, oh, they're gonna they're telling me they're gonna send me back home. I said, send you to
back where?
That's what I said. I said, to
where?
That's what I said. I said, where are they gonna send you to, babe? Where are they gonna send? Oh, they said they're gonna send me. And he just got vexed and he put the phone down. Now remember, at that time, I'm not classed as legal, so I can't get to the airport. I can't do nothing. I'm fretting. I'm thinking, oh my God, where are they gonna send my child? And then he comes through the door about like 3.5 hours later. And I said, what happened? He said, Mom, it's only because they saw when you had tried to make an application for me that they said they allow me back in. But they stamp his passport and they put 2 months in there. You've got 2 months and then we're coming to deport you. Can you believe that? So that's when the depression got even worse.
Of course, but deporting to where?
That's what I said.
To Dominican Republic, where he just came from, or back to Dominica?
Somewhere he doesn't even know, and this is the threat that he has.
Yes.
So it wasn't.
I heard that actually happened to a few children.
Definitely
Happened to a
it
few children.
Did.
Some of them go. I think there's a story about one who went, who was deported back to Jamaica, where he had no one.
Nobody, none. And it's still a fight that. We're fine now. We managed to stop a plane. The organisations that we're in managed to stop. I think they had about 73 people. We were able to get 50 people off of that plane. Yeah. So yeah.
You were able to get
a
plane where they were deporting.
Yeah. So it managed to stop and get 50 people off of that to get their cases fought where they shouldn't deport. So there is some organisations that are thinking. Yeah, they're fighting for them.
Who is behind this?
The Home Office. That's who's behind this, the Home Office. And it's still
what's the objective?
To control immigration, that's all it is. But we see it as certain organisations, Windrush organisation, we see it as a form of racism because it was directed at a lot of the Caribbean countries, and there is a lot of people of colour, I'm going to say.
People of colour. So since you received that letter, so both ladies are good now, thank God, and all the children are good.
Thank you very much.
Other brothers and sisters, any one of them had to deal with that as well?
No.
Your siblings, No, it was just the 2 of you.
Yeah.
Okay. So everything is good. You've got your letter and so on. What has happened since then?
Well, the compensation scheme came out in 2019.
Also, somebody decided you had to be compensated.
Of course they had to, because you take away people's livelihood, you got to give it back to them. You can't just tell someone out of the job because of you had a problem. So they set up a compensation scheme the compensation scheme, the payments that they were offering people were very minimal. My job, I was paid all right as far as I'm concerned.
Paid all right.
Paid all right. So they made me an offer of 22,000
and odd.
Yeah, 22,000 odd. When I got that letter, I was like, you know, you're taking
happening.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen.
In English terms, you're taking the
Mickey. You're taking the Michael.
In the English terms, we say you're taking the Mickey.
You're taking the Mickey. So I was like, no, this is a joke, because they were offering me 13,000 for loss of employment.
13,000.
13,000 for loss of employment from since 2009 up to 2018.
Madness.
It was sickness. They offered me 1,500 for being stopped at the airport. They offered me
insult.
Yeah, 7,000 for impact on life.
Insult.
And when I saw it, I was like,
so that's a total of about 22.
About 22, yeah, about going on 23. And I looked at it and I said, no. So the same person who had asked us things, she saw, because I was on Facebook and I was like, no, they're taking the Mickey. I put it up on there, the little bit what they offered me, and she was like, what do you want to do? I said, you need to get a journalist with a camera at my house today.
And what was your exact words that you said when they offered you that certain amount of money?
Well, there was 2 channels who came to my thing that day, and my phrase was, this is breadcrumbs for pheasants. I said, we're hungry, but we're not that hungry. Right, and that's exactly what I said. And that sort of like got them scared, because they're like, oh my God, she's refused 22,000. I said, yeah, but they believed that because we were so desperate that everyone was going to take this small money. And I thought, well, if you're offering me that, and my case is so high profile, what are you going to offer the other people? Right. So I said, no, that's not right. And I was determined, I'm not having this. So we fought and we fought and we fought and we fought until we got the money pushed up.
All right. So is that closed off now? No.
It's closed off for us, because the settlement that we...
So what I mean is, have you settled?
We can settle.
Okay,
but there's other people that need settling.
Okay.
Yeah. We're happy with our new settlement.
What about your son? Was your son entitled to settlement?
Of course.
Yes.
And my son got settled too.
Okay.
He got settled too. Because close family members were affected as well.
Yes.
And close family members who've had to support, like, you know, our children had to support us, they can make a claim. So people like myself, my sister and my son, they call them primary claimants.
Right.
The other people who supported you is close family members, so they're entitled to payment as well. But I think the minimum you could have got the first time was £250, up to £7,000. So what I was noticing, people were coming to me for help, because I'm just an ordinary person. Listen, she can do it, she knows what's going through. Everybody that came to me was getting £7,000 for impact on life. And I said, well, if my case is high profile and I only got offered 7,000 and you're getting offered 7,000, there's something wrong here. So we challenged them.
Okay. Sat
down with ministers, the top ranking ones, and
the House of Parliament.
I was in the House of Parliament all the time. But I said to, I'll never forget, it was the permanent secretary and the head, the chief. I'm in an organisation called Windrush Lives, and we advocate for people with claimants who's helping other claimants. And we sat with the permanent secretary, and I was like, would you accept 13,000 for loss of earnings for 9 years? And he was like, we take it all on board, we understand. I think it was on your birthday, on December the 14th, they pushed up the money. Anybody who got £7,000 was now going to get £70,000.
That's it for that part of it.
So if they offered you £3,000, it now became £40,000. We had to fight for that, to show them you cannot treat people like that. Some people are not happy with the payments, but at least we let them know it's no longer 250 is the minimum. The maximum is gone now from £10,000 is the minimum to over £100,000 in there. So now this is what we're calling a proper compensation, but we're still fighting.
You're still fighting.
Because there's still a lot of people who...
So you're fighting for others now?
Definitely.
You're fighting
there
for
is,
others.
because I'm coming across, what this has done is affected what I call the elder community, because there's a lot of people in their 60s and their 70s who are suffering, who lost homes, who lost jobs. There's a client that I've got, I call them clients, and she's 60 something. She had a stroke. They only offered her £3,000. Just before I came out here, while I was here anyway, I got the call and she said, they haven't given my money. I said, no problem. I sent her an email. I got it back. Oh no, her money will be in her account by Friday. She phoned me. She said, I got it.
Oh, bless your soul.
Yeah, so she got her. And I'm still out here working, so don't think I'm still attending Zoom meetings, because I just want people to, and if there's people out here who feel that they've been affected, I'm on Facebook, I'm on social platform.
Glenda Joyce.
Yeah, definitely.
I have to ask though, why were your other siblings not affected by this?
They actually came years before we did, and
before you did,
before I did,
before you. No, they came. Well, I was the first one to come.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, but they had applied for naturalization, so they naturalized themselves. So they can still come under it, but they choose not to. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah. That's how to.
So they acted a bit earlier than you did, and so they were able to go through the process.
Yeah. So when it first came out with the naturalizations, they were able to apply for their naturalizations.
Okay. So they're not interested in fighting for anything under the.
I don't think so.
Under the Windrush Scandal.
I don't think so.
They're fine. They're doing good.
They're all right.
They're all right. Wow, you know, this is incredible. I am happy though that you were able to fight enough to get the settlement that you think that you deserved, and that you can still be there fighting for others and to help others. As far as you know, how many people overall were affected by this whole situation?
There's not a number. There's not a data. We chat.
People are still coming forward.
Yeah, they're still coming forward. Like I said, I'm in an organisation called Windrush Lives, and we pressure the government to try and get data from them on those whose people have died, who were entitled to, who haven't been paid. People are still coming forward. It's increased a lot because now people have realised, oh, well, money's gone. Because before, when you was applying, they're telling you only getting £250. People are, I'm not interested. I don't want to. No, I can't afford to buy it. Yeah. But now that it's been increased and they've realised, well, yeah, that's our money. It's what we paid in. It's our taxes what we weren't able to claim back. So now people are coming forward. But there's still people who need to come forward.
Even
because what the English government haven't done is they haven't done a national sort of like advertisement to tell people that you're entitled to it, because
are you fighting for that as well?
Definitely not going to stop.
You think they need to do that?
Definitely they need to, because there is people who've been stuck in other countries. I've got a gentleman on my case right now. He's been stuck in Trinidad for 38 years. 38 years. He's living.
He deserves his money.
He's going to get his money.
He deserves his money.
Oh yeah, I speak to him regular. Advise him. He's just putting his forms in that. But 38 years, he got stuck out there. And they use this thing, oh well, you've been out the country for 5 years. Yeah, but I've been out the country because of you. And they'll put in little things that you don't even...
Little clauses.
Yeah, little clauses where they think you won't understand. But I read everything, and if you bring it forward, we're able to offer people pro bono legal services, because a lot of people wouldn't come forward because they thought they would have to pay for solicitors' time. But we're trying to, we have got a lot of immigration lawyers who are willing to help people. So that's why I say to people, come forward. Windrush Lives, Glenda Caesar, Joyce Caesar, just contact us. If you feel that you're in that position, come forward.
Talk to me about what this experience have taught you and the lessons learned from it.
never give up. Do not give up. If you think you've got the fighting power and you know that there's something behind it, keep going for it. Go for it.
I just think I've never been one that's been into politics, but this has opened up my eyes to what racism is fully about. It's really opened,
so you think that's what this is about in terms
definitely. There's no
the bottom line?
The bottom line is that I said it from the beginning. I used to say I feel as if it's modern day slavery, because you asked for us to come over here the same way they did with the slaves, brought them over on a ship and then abandoned them and treated us as if they were rubbish. And basically that's what they did to us in England. You said come over, we helped you to set up your systems and do everything else, and then what did you turn around and do? You wanted to just throw us away. But you can't do that. If you raise a child and you say to that child, I'm teaching you how to read, to speak, freedom of speech, we're going to use that. And they came across that one person, and that's Glenda Caesar.
And Glenda Caesar is not backing down.
Not at all.
And you're going to try to help as many persons as you possibly can.
Definitely. That's what it's all about. If you feel you're being affected, then come forward and say, I need help. Don't be frightened and don't be embarrassed, because it's not your fault. And that's many of us who got into this position kept blaming ourselves as if we had done something wrong, or we were hiding, whereas we didn't need to hide because we didn't do anything wrong. And I said to a lot of the people, don't allow the Home Office to embarrass you, you embarrass them. Don't let them give you time scales, you give them time scales and say, this is what you need to do because you put me in this position.
I'm not going to ask the figure of the compensation, that's your personal business, but what has the compensation done for you in terms of, life and enjoying your remaining years?
We're here.
That's it, we're here.
You're on vacation.
We're home.
We're home, we're here. We're home. It's made it easier though. It's, less worry for us. I think it's,
It's
alright.
It's alright. Any plans to return to Dominica permanently?
Oh yes.
Have we built homes in Dominica as yet? Soon come.
Well.
So here's what you can build: one gets upstairs, one gets downstairs.
That's good. That's right.
Yeah, how about that, Joyce?
As Glenda says, straight up.
Straight up. Okay, ladies, we're just about at the time when we have to wrap up the program. I really appreciate you sharing your story with us. As you wrap up, if there's anything else that you feel of importance that you may have left out, or something that you wish to reiterate, please use the opportunity to do that. But I really want to thank you for being here. I enjoyed this program so much with the two of you. But Joyce, you're the little terror. Joyce, yes.
I want everybody to know that
from day one, she
one.
got to England.
I'm mature now.
You're mature now. All right, who's gonna start off?
I don't have much to say. I'm going to leave it down to Glenda. But all I want to say is thank you very much for giving us the platform, so we can actually share this with the viewers, the radio listeners, and to share it with you.
Yes.
Thank you very much for giving us this platform.
It is absolutely my pleasure. And I love it when people call me and give me a little sips here, do you know this person is here or that person is here, guys, keep them coming. Keep them coming.
But I just want to say, I want to say thank you to you, Ferdina, for inviting us. Ferdina.
Yes. You bloody English.
Oh, we're trying. Thank you for inviting us and allowing us to share
Hold on. What do you say? English?
Yes.
Have you seen the Dominican passport too?
No, I've got a British passport. No, in your business. No, I have a British passport. No, I know it.
Let me finish.
Don't really.
You might have to tell them.
No, but we have British passport. No.
Yes,
by law.
And that's the only place your British passport will come.
So do you have both passports now, by the way?
Yes,
Do you
thank
still
you.
have your
Yes,
Dominican
yes,
passport?
thank
You too,
you.
Joyce?
Yes, thank you.
Alright, alright.
No, can I just let the listeners know, if you feel that you're going through this, or you think anybody's going through this, please contact Windrush Lives. You can find it, just type it into Google, you'll find it, or Windrush National Organisation. We're there to help you to get what is rightfully yours. I want to say big shout to the Dominican community. We're here, so thank you again.
Aww.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yo, it was such a joy. I really did appreciate it. I wasn't even having an interview here tonight. We were just chatting as usual. So thank you so much to Joyce and Glenda Caesar. And I want to encourage you to continue fighting for the others. I mean, this was a long fight,
Yeah.
and it was a hard fight, but you fought. You fought tooth and nail, and you got what you wanted, or what you deserved. Not wanted, well wanted to, but what you deserved. What you deserved definitely at the end of it all. And you know, I really do hope that persons reach out to you to see how you can probably help their families, or you know, persons they may know who experience what you've experienced. I'm sorry for what you've experienced, but everything in life happens for a reason.
Exactly.
And here is you are today helping others. You're paying it forward and you're helping others, and that is important. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
That's a wrap. That's a wrap on the In the Spotlight radio show for tonight. We'll see you again next week Monday for another program. Thank you to everyone who supported. Oh, by the way, ladies, before we leave, I don't know how I have not done that. Dexter and the ride,
Oh
Prime
God.
Wagon.
Listen,
You know,
no,
yes.
No, come on.
No, listen.
No.
Yes, yes.
Listen.
Listen, Linda.
Listen.
Glenda.
Listen.
Listen. Top notch.
Mm.
We've got a British passport
notch.
now, so we're going to say
Top notch.
top notch, mate.
You get a
Right?
drink and you
We've
get
got the
food,
limo,
got
we've got the
water,
fruit,
got the
we've
right
got the
to
water,
everything,
we've got the
the
wine,
luxury,
and he drove.
and he
Wicked.
came.
Wicked. And he's outside waiting.
And he's outside.
So we can go and have the grapes
We got the
now.
limo.
And
Yes.
the peanuts.
Oh, big up
Thank
to
you,
Dexter.
Dexter.
Lewis.
Thank you.
And
Prime wagons.
Prime Wagon. Call him for all your bookings. If you need a limo, he has what you need. Top class, and he's such a good.
He's a gentleman.
Yes, he is very much a gentleman. Very soft spoken, doesn't speak too much. But Dexter, you're the bomb.
Yay!
The bomb diggity. Thank you so much, Dexter. Hey, so we're really wrapping things up now. That is it. Until next Monday. Thank you again, everyone. Until next time.